Good morning, everyone. This is Gail Dudley, and it is time for News in Motion. Come on in the room, y'all. It is Thursday. It is Thursday, March the 3rd, 2022. And it is time for some headlines. We have some updates, and then we have class in session today. So if you're ready to get some education time on, come on in the room, y'all. Bring your pen and paper, your smart book, your smart tablet, whatever it is that you have, just come on in the room on today. I'm so excited to see all of you popping in here. I see you, Camille Hopkins. I see you, Marion Jackson. Good morning. Good morning, Kim Edmondson. Good morning. Good morning to you. Hey, y'all, come on in the room. We're going to have a good day today. Let's just go ahead and say that out loud. We're going to have a good day. I see you, Patricia Lyles, as you're coming up in the room today as well. I see you, Danielle, coming in from YouTube, and I see Patricia. I see y'all coming in here. You're coming in a little different today, but I see you. I see you, Regina Short. I see you, Pastor Annette. I see you, Katrina. I see you all on this morning. Y'all like that orange I'm wearing? Paparazzi, paparazzi. Ordered this from Latrice Jones, Luxurious Life. Y'all can check her out. I think she has a 7 p.m. Live tonight. I try when I'm on there to share it, so make sure you check that out. Good morning, Dr. Antoinette. Good morning, Shardinia. Good morning to all of you. If you are tuning in live by video, if y'all like, yes, it's popping. All right, all right, all right. I thought I was a little cute this morning too, whatever. But anyway, I see you, Ron Robinson. I see you, Deborah Sneed. I see y'all coming up in the room today. Listen, if you're watching by video or if you're listening by audio and you're listening live, I just want to say good morning to you. I see you, Hester. If you are checking it out later on the replay, hey, whether that's afternoon or evening, hey, I just want to say thank all of you for spending a little time with me today and allowing me to share with you some of the news headlines and also to give some education classes in session today, y'all. So I hope you're ready to take some serious notes for yourself. You can always watch the replay if it's something that you missed. I see you, Liz Pryor, Marion Jackson. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Antoinette. She said, please share the video. That's what I'm talking about. Come on in the room, people. I see you, Adrienne. Good morning to you. What's up, Lori Wallace? Good morning to you. Good morning to all of you. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be seen. It's a great day to see others. I see you, Kenny Stanley. Good morning to you. What's happening? All right, y'all. It is Thursday. It is Thursday. What's up, Latrice Jones? Hey, you like it, Latrice? You like it? You like it? You like the combination? You like what I got going on here? Good morning. Good morning. Hey, listen, I see you, Kimberly Graves and Tracy. Y'all not playing around today. I love it. Listen, y'all, class is going to be in session today. Class is going to be in session today. Class is going to be in session today. Good morning, Pastor Alex. As I told y'all yesterday, that as I was giving some recaps of the State of the Union from President Biden, I shared with you that I was going to break down how you can strategize the messaging, the questions, things that you can do. And I have that prepared for you today. I took my time. And as I was doing it, if I can just say so myself, they really need to hire me. Seriously. So, share the video. If y'all have any connects, make sure you let them know. Check this out because she broke this down and y'all are going to need her on y'all's team. Hello, somebody. All right, y'all, let's get this news in motion. Let's go. I see you, Dr. Antoinette. Thank you. She got hashtag hire Gail. That should be the hashtag along with the link that they can watch this on YouTube or right here on Facebook. That's how you do the thing. I like that, Dr. Antoinette. Yes, y'all, listen. I want to just first start off with the update on the war. Um, Independent Axios and AP are reporting that the southern Ukraine city, and I believe it's pronounced Kherson, was overtaken by Russian forces yesterday, the first major city captured by Russia since its invasion of Ukraine began 1 week ago. The southern city is a strategic and economic hub with access to the Black Sea. Now, the capital of Kyiv and the second largest city of Kharkiv continue to receive heavy shelling, including a down missile that landed near Kyiv Central Rail Station. Remember, there are many, many, many civilians that are on those rail stations trying to get out. I believe, and I think I have that number somewhere. Let me look. More than 1 million of the country's nearly 44 million residents have fled the country. So 1 million, that means there's 43 million still there. Um, Ukrainian officials said yesterday more than 2,000 civilians had been killed since the fighting broke out a week ago. So, and this is a figure that in all the different research I've looked at, that figure hasn't been independently confirmed by any officials in Ukraine, but that's the number that is currently out there. Separately, y'all, the United Nations General Assembly voted 141 to 5 in a non-binding measure to condemn Russia's actions. Now, 35 countries, including India, abstained. And y'all know what I say when we talk about people who abstain, they don't really want you to know which direction or what they're thinking. So that's why they do that. Now I have three quick headlines, and I'm going to go into what I call now class in session. And you do want to get your pen, your paper, your computer. There's some classrooms that are tuning in this morning. I was able to send out an email yesterday. So good morning to all the high schools who may be joining in this morning. All right, first up, and I think Isaiah may have an image. CNBC reporting Amazon to shut down its physical bookstores and pop-up shop concepts. Company will help employees of 68 stores throughout the U.S. and the U.K. find new roles within Amazon. So I just wanted to show that. So anytime you see the Amazon bookstore, those are going to be shutting down. They're finding that more and more bookstores, really across the board, more and more brick and mortar locations are turning into online. If y'all remember last week, I believe I was talking about Macy's. Macy's made the determination to stay as a brick and mortar, including their e-commerce. So, so some are staying, some are going, excuse me. Y'all, Yahoo News is reporting that sports e-commerce giant Fantastic raises $1.5 billion, valuing company at $27 billion, and that is with a B. So again, many of us have skills and talents, and we can really get into so many different things. We have to be willing to take the risk and do it. Do it. There are people out here who will help you do a startup fund, do a launch fund, do a GoFundMe fund that you can really show actual statistics of what it is you want to do and how you want to get there and you want to accomplish those things. All right, y'all. The Hill is reporting Senator Joe Manchin. I guess he got, pretty emotional or sentimental or something on Tuesday. Something happened. But Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat, West Virginia, opens the doors to a scaled down version of Biden's administration's Build Back Better social spending plan. Really? Really? After all this time, now you want to talk about it? I want you to tell me, Joe, what part of the speech got you so emotional that now you want to talk about it? Yeah, I don't know. All right, Joe, those were the main headlines. And as promised yesterday, I want to do this today. We want to talk about messaging, and we want to talk about the questions we need to ask. All of this is to help us as voters and those who may not be registered voters. My hope is that this information I share with you today will encourage you by the end of this broadcast to go to one of the sites and register to vote. So I'm going back to the State of the Union speech by President Joe Biden. Okay, so yesterday, remember I told you I was going to recap this. So here it is. I want to do a step-by-step breakdown. I'm going to give you a lot of information. A lot of information. Again, I say, when I was done with this yet last evening, I said, I need to be on the payroll with the government or the Democratic Party or the Independent Party, if I want to keep it real, because I'm really more of an independent these days. So going through the entire speech, once again, it's like my fourth time going through it. The Democrats should use this as their messaging, and the independents for the 2022 midterm election. So here's the first thing I want to talk about. Again, I'm going to be very detailed. If you know anybody you think is going to benefit from this, please share this video. First, where he says we're going to cut the cost of prescription drugs. And then he says, just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. Okay. So we need to start with who. The key thing there is to start with who has diabetes. Who has it? Well, I'm glad you asked the question. So, for our audience, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health, stated, and this the most recent information I have is from 2018. I looked for 2019, 2020, 2021, and it's not there, which is very concerning for me. But for our audience, in 2018, non-Hispanic Blacks were twice as likely as non-Hispanic whites to die from diabetes. Okay, twice as likely. I have numbers, so just hold on. African American adults are 60% more likely than non Hispanic white adults to be diagnosed with diabetes by a physician. 60% of African American adults, we're talking just adults, are more likely than non Hispanic white adults to be diagnosed with diabetes by a physician. Now, there are several risk factors related to diabetes. Some of those risk factors are obesity and overweight, hypertension, high cholesterol, cigarette smoking. Now, if you want to see all this information yourself, and Isaiah, I believe I put a banner in there. You can learn more by going to https://minorityhealth.hhs.gov. Thank you. So there it is. You can see it if you are watching by video. It is on the screen. Again, that's minorityhealth.hhs.gov. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because this is the information when we go into town hall meetings or when we're trying to reach out to our representatives. It is important, depending upon your subject matter, to have the information to go with it. And I see several of you coming in here, Judy and Shirley and Hazel and Donita. Good morning to all of you. It's important for you to have the information you need to have that conversation. So that's why I'm sharing this. Now, President Biden also said, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month so everyone can afford it. Here's another question. Can everyone afford the insulin at $35 a month? Or are we only thinking about a certain group? And it's important to understand the differences of these groups. So even when you're having that conversation, yes, you're advocating for yourself, but you also want to advocate for other people who may be below your salary level, your income status, and people who are at your income status, and people who are higher than your income status. We need to start looking at the system as a whole. So when we vote, these are things that we should be asking ourselves. These are the things that we should be looking at. These are the conversations we must have. Now, according to statistics from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, diabetes affects more than 34 million children, teens, and adults in the United States. Okay. Now, while diabetes can affect people within any racial or ethnic group, it is disproportionately affects people of certain racial or ethnic backgrounds. Again, the question we should always start with is why? Why is that? What is it that we're missing? Yes, Ron Robinson, $35 a month is better than $1,000. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And let me go there for a moment and see. In politics, we put out numbers, or they put out numbers that would get everyone to say, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Because they're looking at the demographics of those of us who vote or who are registered voters. But we need to be able to take a step back and say, well, could a person who does not have an income, can they afford that? And especially if you are in a household where everyone has been stated that they're diabetic. So now we're talking about maybe 5 insulin. So now we're maybe talking about 35 times 5. Yes, it's still better than 5,000, but can that person afford it? Or do we get into that situation where they're now sharing insulin and they're saying, I'm going to take half and you take half? See, these are the things. And this is when we get to politics. And this is why I love this. When we get into politics, we need to look beyond what we see. See, we're so often we're focused on, oh, $35. Well, I know a lot of people that cannot afford $35. And yes, it's better. And that's exactly what they want us to see. And yes, that's a great step forward. But are we still looking at universal, or are we looking at a certain population? So we have that. Now, according to the American Diabetes Association, that's ADA, the prevalence of diabetes in non-Hispanic Blacks is 11.7% versus the 7.5% in non-Hispanic whites. Asian Americans are slightly more affected by diabetes than white Americans at 9.2, and Hispanic and American Indian and Alaska Natives have the highest rate of diabetes at 12.5%. Now, most people don't hear that. But the truth is not that African Americans are at the top of the list. It's really the American Indians and Alaskan Natives at 12.5%. So we have to start even looking at our communities in a broader view, if you will. So with that, when we're talking about messaging, we want to say in town hall meetings, when we're speaking with our elected officials or so forth, when you give me this number, what does that mean? See, most candidates aren't ready for those questions. They're either getting people who are for it or who are against it. Well, find yourself in the middle and say, well, what exactly does $35 mean when we're talking about this? Who exactly are the highest risk when it comes to diabetes? What are the demographics? What areas? What are their physicians? Who are their physicians, and how are they are dealing with that? Which takes me to the next question. He also goes on to say the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families on Affordable Care Act plans save $2,400 a year on their health care premiums. And he said, let's close the gap. But here's the question that we should be asking. Okay, and this is how you would say this. And I wanted to make sure I wrote it down, so I'm gonna read what I wrote down. And the response would be, this is great, but the question is, millions of families on Affordable Care Act plans save $2,400 a year on their health care premiums. What's the breakdown per family of 1, of 2, of 3, of 4, and of 5, and so forth? See, what is that breakdown? Are we talking one person that's saving $2,400? Is the family of 1, or a family of 3, or a family of 5, or a family of 7? What? Because that changes the number. See, y'all, we have to start going deeper and asking the right questions so that we can get the correct answer. Now, the other question is, what type of care are they receiving on this plan? And are they being offered preventative care as well? Are we just focused on the Band-Aid, or are we also offering preventative care? What does that look like? These are the questions. So we got to get beyond the sound bites of commercials and get beyond what people are saying and get beyond these numbers. We got to zero in on, what does this really mean? All right, let me keep going. The next thing he talked about was cut energy costs for family at an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. He goes on to say, let's provide investments and tax credits to weatherize your homes and businesses, to be energy efficient, and to get your tax credit. Double Americans' clean energy production and solar, wind, and so much more. He didn't have that much excitement. Then he goes on to say, lower the price of electronic vehicles, saving you another $80 a month because you never have to pay at the gas pump again. And people went, wow, yay. And they gave him a standing ovation. That sounded really good. But the more I'm digging into this, that ain't too good. Let me tell you why. And I like Joe. Y'all know me. Y'all know I was the one wanting Joe to run. All right. So here's a question. Here's a messaging. It can start off like this. Many areas are being gentrified. Many Black and Brown people are being displaced from those communities, those neighborhoods. What type of grants? We got to use their language, people. What type of grants are available to assist these communities with the resources and contractors to make the necessary adjustments so that we, our Black and Brown people, can stay in their homes? Bam, say what? They're not going to be looking for that question to come their way, but that's a question we need to be asking instead of displacing the people in those areas that are being gentrified. But let's look at, okay, can you give them the money to fix up their home so they can stay there? We're talking seniors where people are coming in trying to buy up their homes and give them some crazy amount. I'll give you $40,000 for your home. And because they're assuming they're not educated, they do not know, they say, okay, yeah, I'll buy. Where are you going? You can't even go to assisted living. Right now, the wait list is anywhere from 18 months to 32 months wait list for assisted living. So where you going? So can we stay in the home and modify the home to help the people? This is what we have to look at, and this is how we need to strategize. Y'all, this is all centered around politics and voting. I don't care how you cut it up. This is political. This is political. Why are you buying up this area? Why are you changing it around? Why are you giving the money only to particular people? Why don't I know about these grants? Here in Columbus, Ohio, they kicked off this thing. It was this piece in the newspaper of all of these grants that are going to fix these homes. And so I go to the website. I'm checking it out. I'm telling my dad, I need this. I need this. They want all this information. My oldest sister started an envelope, started putting things in there of everything we need. And I kept looking. I said, wait a minute. They're giving money also to contractors, and they're giving the money also to investors for them to buy up these homes in this neighborhood. So let me go back to this, Joe. This sounds real good. A 500 a year climate change. This sounds real good of weatherizing your homes and businesses and energy efficient. But that's going to go into gentrifying neighborhoods. Can you give them the money so they can fix up their homes? Hello, somebody. These are the questions we need to be asking. This is why we vote, people. This is why we vote. Now, for those of you who are like, well, what is really gentrification? What is gentrify? It is a formerly poor urban area changed in character by wealthier people moving in. That's what it is. It is changed in character by wealthier people moving in, improving the housing and attracting new businesses, typically displacing current inhabitants in the process. So there is a goal there. There's a goal there. I was in a conversation a couple of days ago, and I heard someone say, "I don't mind if so and so or this group of people buy it," and it just made my body. It just made me just like stiff. Like what? Like, why would you want that? Why wouldn't you want to keep this in the Black community with Black people supporting and buying this? Help me understand this. But I just said, oh, okay, because I know I have other opportunities to have the conversation with that person. But just that mindset, that thinking, it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And I even look at where I grew up. If we did not just move out, and I did, I'm one who moved out. and not focus on how do I buy this up. What is Hester saying? I believe the goal is to strategically move the blacks out of these areas. Blacks are being priced out. Therefore, the government do not want to assist blacks. And that's a question that needs to be on the floor when we're talking in these town hall meetings and we're listening to these candidates running for office. What about us? What about us? And I love it. It was Kim Edmondson who said yesterday in a prayer request. Kim Edmondson was saying, as she begins to buy her first investment property. And I'm praying for that because I know Kim Edmondson. I know her husband. I know where they're going to go buy some property. And more of us need to do that. Pastor Annette says they are also targeting people who have lived in their apartment complex for years, sending them letters saying their lease won't be renewed. It's about getting that money from new occupants and gross rent increases. Y'all listen. Thank you for that. Listen. Listen. I know all of you don't want to hear about this, but you should want to hear about this because everybody's not going to give you this information. I'm giving it to you because I believe in empowering you as I'm even empowering myself. This is information we need. With the housing crisis, and I kept seeing these articles when I was pulling this information because of the housing crisis, the housing boom, I should say, which is now causing a housing crisis. So people are selling their homes, they're going to the apartments, waiting for another house to be built, and then they're waiting, and then all of their the wood and all of that stuff is on a container somewhere on a ship, somewhere out in the ocean. They can't even get it, so they're in of apartments. So you're seeing even in the smallest sections, all these apartments being built. Just it could be just like two rooms on 10 floors because they're building them up. And so then the price point is ridiculous. So you could even be in a loft. And I was going through that even in the Midwest. 1,500, 2,500. Forget about New York. You're talking 3,500. Forget about California. You're talking sometimes 5,000. The numbers are increasing. So they are displacing people. Y'all, these are the things we are voting on. You may not see it when it's time for that voting cycle to come. So the midterm, you may not be seeing all of this, but these are the things that they're putting in place. You need to get to the bottom, get to the root of what their platform is in the beginning and how do we combat that. We need to look at this, y'all. Housing prices are increasing. You would have thought they would have leveled off by now. They are not. They are not. So people are being pushed out. They're being pushed out. And you're wondering, let's go there. This is also tied to crime increase. It is tied to crime increase. Why are people stealing cars? Well, it's a boom in cars. So they're trying to steal the cars, change the serial number, go take it to a corner lot and selling the car. They're flipping cars. They're now starting to steal tires off of cars. All of these things, y'all, this comes back to our representatives. What are you doing about this? And you're talking about keeping us safe. He also said, let's stop saying defund the police, which I agree with that. That language was not the right message. He said, we want to keep our neighborhoods safe. When we're talking about safety of neighborhoods, we have to look at also these communities, the investment and the people. So all of these things are tied together, y'all. They're tied together. Adrian is saying redlining is still happening. Also, developers tried to squeeze out my best friend who resides in Florida, who bought land to build a home. They tried everything, but she had a great realtor and loan officers and moving into her new home in 2 weeks. That's great. Amen. So all of this is tied. You cannot separate it. Yes, Hester, is tied to crime increase politicians are not interested in. Yes, Diane Ladybug, this is all crazy. So let me keep going. I have 5 more minutes. Let me keep going. I won't go that long, I don't think. The third thing he said he wanted to cut the cost of childcare. Many families pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. He goes on to say in his State of the Union speech, middle class and working families shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income for care for young children. He says, as he continues, he says, my plan will cut the cost in half for most families and help parents, including millions of women. And then he talked about pre-K to 3 years old. Here's the messaging, y'all. Here's the questions we need to be asking our elected officials. Understanding inflation. That's the word. That's the word this year. So when you're at a town hall meeting or you're writing to your representative, you need to start there. Understanding inflation. Put that word inflation in there because that is the issue. That will keywords will get them to open up your email or to hear your voicemail. So it would be something like this: understanding inflation. What are the costs involved that have increased childcare over the years? Why all of a sudden did it increase? Where is it coming from? We know that inflation with hourly wage increased. Okay, but what else? What else? Yes, Kim Edmondson, inflation is the number one issue. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Regina Short says, read the book, The Color of Law and Forgotten. Yes, that is excellent. That's a great, please put that up, Isaiah. Y'all, this book is a great read. During your Lent season, read this book. But not but and so we got this. That's the question, and don't let them just not answer the question. Make sure they're answering this question. What are the costs involved that have increased childcare over the years? Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, y'all. But what I've just shared with y'all so far, everybody needs to hear this in our community at least. So make sure you're sharing this video because I am giving y'all some information that nobody else is going to give you. I'm giving this to you. All right. The next question you can ask is, how can children and families in marginalized communities access this state-of-the-art child care facilities? Hello, somebody. That's another question we need to do. How can children and families in marginalized communities access this state-of-the-art or these state-of-the-art child care facilities? Adrian says, and they need to pay qualified and highly vet child caregivers. I absolutely agree with you there. Ron Robinson says, child care has always been an issue. My wife had to quit her job when she had the twins. It cost too much. I remember that. Yeah. And that should not be. That should not be. And when they're talking about this increase, who is it benefiting? Who is it benefiting? I've been reading and I don't have enough information to talk about it today or anytime soon. I need to do some more research, but it's very interesting. They're now talking about getting rid of grades in school. They're already, a lot of states aren't doing the SATs right now. So they're talking about just letting children learn. Okay, I don't disagree with that, but what's really going on behind the scenes is what we're doing. And again, I can't really talk on that. I haven't read enough about it, but I'm seeing a lot of articles and press releases that are coming in about that. The other thing that President Biden mentioned was pre-K for every 3 to 4 year old. And then a question in a town hall meeting will respond like this. Well, what would that look like for my community? What would that look like for my community? Y'all, I'm giving y'all some serious stuff. If y'all agree, just put it in the chat that y'all agree and make sure you're sharing this because people need this. And those of you who are not registered voters, here are all the reasons why you should become a registered voter. Yeah. So then he talked about Medicare, long-term care. So I have a question for you, Joe Biden, on this too. And y'all know I like Joe Biden, but I don't agree with everything he's doing. So let's talk Medicare. Seniors are being discharged. And this is how you message this. This is how you communicate this with your elected officials, or if you're in town hall meetings, or if you're in a roundtable discussion with people who are on the opposite ends of your voting party and so forth. And I think eventually all of us are going to become independents. But anyway, here's a question. Seniors are being discharged due to having assets. I know all about that. And it says, yet they are not well enough to return home. Why not include the housing structure, such as living alone, et cetera, before a discharge? Medicare, why are you just saying, nope, I see that they got some assets out here, so I'm going to go ahead and discharge them or release them. We're going to stop paying here. Why? Why? What does that benefit you? And here's what's happening. The person's got to come back in the cycle anyway, because they'll still have certain ailments. It's going to take them back to the hospital. They're not going to have the strength. It's going to take them back to a rehab facility. They're going to have to work through that rehab facility to be able to function back at home. And if they go home too soon, the cycle starts all over again. Y'all, this is also connecting the dots to money. All right. Real quick, President Biden shared during the State of the Union, he goes, I'm not looking to punish anyone, but let's make sure corporations and the wealthiest Americans start paying their fair share. And again, he said just last year, 55 Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profits and paid $0 to federal income tax. He said that. Here's the message, and here's the question that we can be asking. Let's talk that since, there's uh, some people confirm it, other people don't confirm it. It seems to be a gray area, but there's talk that since January 2022, people receiving Cash App, Zales, and PayPal monies are now being reported once the deposit reached $600. It appears that certain communities are being targeted. However, those 55 Fortune 500 companies who earned 40 billion with a B in profits paid $0 in federal income tax. Do you not see the disparities? And ask the questions, why are these things happening? Now, again, I'm reading these because I wrote them down. I wanted to make sure I said them exactly what I'm putting out here. So let me also say this while I'm doing this video. Other than the speech from President Joe Biden during his State of the Union, everything else that I'm listing here is my intellectual property. Please don't just copy it and repeat it. If you do, that's fine. Just say Gail Dudley said. Boom. I'm giving you all the rights to say as long as you say Gail Dudley said from News in Motion. Use this. I don't have a problem. Just give credit where credit is due. But those are questions we need to ask. And that's a question I'm still digging into about this $600. I hear some people saying it's actually happened, others saying it's not. I've had some tax people say it's not. I had some tax people say it is. So we need to really get to the bottom of it. But the question is, in a town hall meeting, come on now, President Joe Biden said this. So y'all going to just close your eyes to these billion-dollar profits, not paying federal tax, but you're going to come after somebody who got $600? Really? That's the system. The system is still broken. And then they talk about raising minimum wage to $15 an hour and extend child care credit. They talked about Pell Grants, the HBCUs. They talked about community college. That just all needs to be free. We can end that. Just make that free. All right. And then he said, the most fundamental right in America is the right to vote. Y'all know what he said. Freedom to Vote Act, passed the John Lewis Voting Right Act. And then he said, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our elections. I say, yes, all of that. But here we go. We can ask the question in a town hall meeting, or we can write when the White House comments are open. And usually they're on, I believe it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when the lines are open at the White House. Here's a way, and this is what I have written. Again, y'all, my intellectual property. We can say President Biden is able to sign an executive order. He sees that two within his own party are not budging. Therefore, the votes will never be there. Why keep the American people suffering through the 400 plus bills at the state level to prevent certain people from voting? Why not just sign an executive order? That's a question we need to put on the table. All right. Now, y'all, this is all just the start of what I'm suggesting we must do as we prepare to vote in the midterm elections here at 2022. We have to move beyond the commercial sound bites and do our own research. Tune in here to News in Motion because I'm going to give you a lot more in the coming days. Attend town halls, contact your representatives, engage in conversations with others, etc. That's the classroom, y'all, today. Class was in session. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Here's my inspirational message, and we're out of here until Monday. Y'all, going back to the book, 40 Days of Decrease by Cho, she says in this book, for one entire day, she goes, or for 40. If you're doing Lent, it's 40. And by the way, there was somebody asked me a question. They was like, I counted on the calendar. It's 46 days. Well, Sundays are off. Most people, they're like, well, Sundays aren't included in 40 days. Most people just keep going for years at Lent. Sunday, I got a little break. But there's times that you get so into what you're doing that you don't take that break on the Sundays. But Sundays are days that are considered off. Day of rest. Anyway, she's in today's lesson, she says, I invite you to fast regret. And that really stuck with me today when I read that this morning. And I want to share this with all of you today. Fast from regret. Don't feed it. This is from her book. Don't feed it. Do not give it space. Let it go. She goes on to say in her book, God's mercies are new every morning. That's Lamentations 3:23. And then she goes on to say, meditate on Jesus's glorious promises from Revelation 21:5 that says, I am making everything new. So, y'all, what about regret? Stop regretting. Stop saying, I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or I did this and it wasn't the right choice, or I did that and it wasn't the right choice. Give up regret. Start today to say, I'm no longer going to regret. I'm going to look at where I can go from here right now. Yes, we all have a past. We all have a past, but don't linger there. Don't use that as a place to regret. Again, as she says, do not feed that. So often we feed things and we bring those things back to life. No, suffocate them so that they can die. And we break ourselves free of regret. We break ourselves free of wishful thinking. We break ourselves free of that guilt and shame that has been uh, uh, choking the life out of us. Give up regret. Y'all, this Lenten season, I believe, is not going to be like any other Lenten season you have ever experienced, especially if you're on this journey with us. Don't just look at what you're giving up. Look at who you're running to. Look at who you're developing an intimate relationship with. Look at who you're leaning into. Don't sit there and go, oh, I can't eat meat today. And don't make an announcement about it. Just say, you know what? Instead of eating this, I'm going to get a scripture and chew on God's word. Giving it up. I gave up mimosas. Yeah, I gave it up. I gave up sugary stuff. I said, okay, I'm going to give this up. But here's the truth. I've been not really doing certain things for a while because my goal has always been to draw closer to God. So look at everything you find yourself running to when you are stressed or you're dealing with things emotionally, whatever that is, because some of us are emotional eaters. And I said us, I included myself. Start looking at that and say, why? Why? If Jesus have come to set the captives free, and this is in that 40 days of sugar book, she talks a little bit about this. I'm paraphrasing it here. If he came to set us free, why do I keep running to food? Why do I keep running to sugar? Why am I not running to God? He's the one that set me free. So wouldn't he have the answers? That hamburger can't tell me. The ice cream can't tell me. The cheesecake can't not tell me. Only Jesus can tell me. So this weekend, I know it's only Thursday, but this weekend, start looking at it differently. Starting today with regret. Give that up. Choke the life out of that so that you can be free from past failures or regrets or whatever. Those things should have propelled you forward. All right, y'all, that's all I have. I am Gail Dudley, your host of News in Motion. This has been class and session time with a few headlines. Continue to pray for those who are in Ukraine. Continue to pray that God's hand comes down and just shut down this war. Y'all stay well and remember, make some bold moves. I'm out.